And honestly, I had a moment this weekend. I haven't told many people about it, but I was having a hard time. The enemy was telling me some lies, telling me you're not enough, you're not doing enough, you're not sharing the gospel enough, you're not doing enough. And in that moment, I prayed, Lord, what do I need to focus on right now? Because he is so loud. The enemy is just so loud. And God gave me a verse out of Romans 8. It says, if it is encouraging, let him encourage. It was God speaking to me in the moment.
Yes.
The angel of the Lord encamps around those who fear him. Like, God was closer than a prayer. My husband we were driving in the car. My husband didn't even hear the prayer, but God heard it.
Yeah.
And he spoke to me in that moment. He said, I have put you there to be an encouragement, to encourage the other believers around you.
Yeah.
That's what you are supposed to do, and you are doing it.
So, we are so excited to talk about what we're talking about today, even though it's a heavy topic. Brokenness. Could you go maybe 1 minute, an hour, 24 hours without thinking of the brokenness that has not only been in your life, but those around you? Or if you want to open it up, what's going on in the world? My name is Laura Sheffield.
I'm Wendy Snow.
And this is our show, Mama Bears on Purpose. If you are just tuning in, we are so excited. Thank you for joining our little family. We ask you to stop and like this show, subscribe, and share it with anyone that would need encouragement. Our show is on Spotify. It is somewhat new, but growing. And our heart is to help you grow in your faith with God, to grow in your walk, to encourage you, to equip you. And that's what we hope to do. We are in a brand new series called Can Broken Be Holy? And we are so excited today because we think that this is such a prevalent topic in light of many, many, many things that have been going on around us, that we hope that this show will equip you and help you know not only where to seek guidance and hopefully hope in God's word, but once you listen to this, hopefully you could be a light in the darkness right now for other people. Some things that I think of when I think of brokenness of recently are the LA fires. Wow, that devastation swept so quickly, and those people really didn't have time. And so when you see the interviews with people that not only tried to save their homes, but what they tried to pull out of there, it was just unbelievable. My uncle has 13 families from his church they live in Sierra Madre, so that area, that lost their homes completely. I went down there with my mom and a good friend of mine from Bible study. We brought a whole U-Haul with stuff that we had collected from people up here that had given it to us. But as we went down there, I just thought like, wow. There was certain buildings that were spared, like there was a church in Sierra Madre and then another street that was wiped out. There was a street in Pasadena that have some things, and then others, everything was burnt down. They are still accepting help, actually. So when Wendy puts this show up, just know that I just had a friend's aunt say that you can sign up on Samaritan's Purse, and I think we've put a link in other shows for Samaritan's Purse. We love Samaritan's Purse. They're amazing, but you can go help not only clear the brush, but there's people still in shelters that have lost everything. There's animals that are displaced. The Humane Society it's the Pasadena Humane Society, but some people have still never come back to even claim their animals. I know we love people more than animals. However, we had a dog that passed away, not this year, but last year, and he was really clingy to us. This was Gideon. Great dog, huge German Shepherd, kind of like a big baby, like a gentle giant. And I'm sorry, I can't imagine if we just didn't claim him or at least visit him. So I don't know what the mindset is of these people. I really don't. Like, I just think, is it hard for them to get to work now? Did their cars burn? I heard of stories of this guy that got him out. The mom lived in the back. The kids, they grabbed maybe one or two things, and then he went back because he forgot to see if his sister made it out. She didn't. Her car was burned. Her house was burned. gone. And that was his sister, and he was younger than Wendy and I, in his 30s. There's a guy, if you're listening to the show, hi Blake, saw his video, living in the LA area, I think, that fancy street, that, anyways, beautiful, beautiful home. And he's an influencer, saw videos of him trying to save his home, running down the street, trying to get fire from the firemen, and his home burned. Later, I'm going to talk about him. But I think of North Carolina and what happened with those hurricanes in September. The devastation to those people, especially the ones that lived in the mountains that couldn't get down and that were just stuck with no food, no water, is hard to fathom.
Yeah.
And all of these things that we just are mentioning, even just right now, are in America.
Right.
There are Christians, as we speak, that are hiding and running for their lives because they can't carry a Bible, can't mention the name of Jesus, still standing strong on their faith. I can imagine them being looked at by God and him thinking like, these are my holy people that are standing up for me. But in their own lives, when they don't have a regular table to sit at and have dinner and can't just regularly go to church or maybe have a Bible study, it might feel kind of broken at times.
Right.
There was, and this is near and dear to my heart because Wendy and I have teenagers, but, and I'll try to get through this without crying, but a 16-year-old twin stabbed at a track meet 4 days ago. I just can't imagine, by a guy on another team. And I don't know the exact interaction. His twin said that it didn't escalate into a crazy way. It was just that Austin, the twin, asked the other boy to move because he was near where their team was on the field. And then that boy didn't like him saying that and stabbed him in the heart and killed him. At a track meet. This is a broken world. I heard Sean Hannity on the radio yesterday. He had some callers call in lately. Maybe they heard about the guy at the track meet. I don't know. But say, why would a good God allow some of these things to happen? Right. Well, Wendy and I are going to get into this, not only on this show, but other shows, is that God gave us free will. And so we're going to talk more about that too. God is not just sitting by twiddling his thumbs. It breaks God's heart that we are outside of his will.
Yes.
And so,
what is brokenness at its base? Like where does the brokenness come from? What is it? So it can either start with your own sin, like that's a brokenness where you are broken about something that you caused, something that you did.
Yeah.
And that's a brokenness within yourself. You can be broken or see brokenness in other people. And like Laura talked about, there's just brokenness in the world. There's just our whole system
it's broken. Yeah.
From families to world governments, everything is broken. Everything has the cracks, the wounds, just the sin attached to it that causes the brokenness. And so bringing your humble heart to the Lord, that's what God says that he wants. He wants to see that humble, contrite, broken heart to come to him. Brokenness is also like, it's that feeling where you feel like you can't even take another breath. Mm-hmm. You know, you can't, you just feel fragile. You feel like there's just a weight of hard things just loaded on your back and you're just done. So we're going to talk today about a couple of people in the Bible that have this brokenness and have walked through this brokenness. But one person I wanted to talk about first was, she came up, first thing in my head was Hannah from 1 Samuel chapter 1. And Hannah couldn't have children, but her husband's other wife had many children and would even tease her about it. Mm-hmm. And so she would go to the temple and just pour her heart out to the Lord. And I just wanted to to read a little bit about her. And she made a vow saying, "O Lord Almighty, if you will only look upon your servant's misery, brokenness, and remember me and not forget your servant, but give her a son, then I will give him to the Lord for all the days of his life, and no razor will ever be used on his head." And she kept on praying to the Lord. Eli observed her mouth. Hannah was praying in her heart, and her lips were moving, but her voice was not heard. Eli thought she was drunk and said to her, "How long will you keep on getting drunk? Get rid of your wine." And "No, not so, my lord," Hannah replied. "I am a woman who is deeply troubled, broken.
Yep.
I have not been drinking wine or beer. I was pouring out my soul to the Lord. Do not take your servant for a wicked woman. I have been praying here out of my great anguish and grief." And God heard her prayer. Hannah was able to conceive and have a son, and he became the next prophet in Israel. But anyways, her just coming to the Lord in that way is what he wants.
Yes.
That's what he came and died for. He didn't die for all the perfect things.
No.
He came and died for the broken. And so we need to give God that, and we need to give him every broken thing, and we need to come to him in that moment.
Yes.
In those broken times, and know that he's there with his wings covering us and making us know his presence in that moment.
Relating Hannah to even us, 2025, where we live in this culture type of brokenness, what are the things that you might think of? Well, from the beginning of the show, things that I said are very easily identified. You would not question if those things were broken. What Hannah was struggling with was wanting a baby, infertility, jealousy, rejection. Those are things that we see now. And so there's situations that are shattered, that aren't whole. We have all been broken, like Wendy said, since sin entered. We were born sinful. And so it's a matter of us choosing holiness, choosing to walk with God every day, that we will see less of that brokenness purposefully in our lives if we're not making crazy decisions. But that doesn't mean we'll not have anything ever go wrong in our life. Right. We are going to experience brokenness here on this earth because we live in a broken world. We live in a sin-filled world. We live in a world where other people are not going to choose holiness. So it'll be around us also that other people will make these decisions. We will be rejected. Wendy and I have felt rejected. We will have friendships that we thought would last longer, jobs that we may have felt like would last longer, homes that we thought we could keep, cars that break down. There could be divorce, death, disaster, health. Wendy and I have both lost friends our age in the last year. Hard. At our age, I remember my grandma being in her 80s and saying one of the hard things about being that age is that she was starting to outlive her friends. Wendy and I have lost friends. And one of my friends, good friend Nikki, went and visited her friend last night that they said might not make it longer. We're at the age where we could be losing our friends. So many reasons someone might feel broken: a season of loneliness, abandonment, fear, anxiety, or depression. Whether you're a Christian or not, these are things that we don't want to stay in, obviously, but it could be that we have a week, a month, a day where it just feels heavy. Yeah. And that heaviness can lead to, yes, us feeling broken, a move, or even just change, like a change in our body. I have someone I've been meaning to reach out to, but just like a kind of a family member that I've just known for a long time, but in Matt's family, lives in another state, and I know she's a new mom again. And I had seen a post that she had put just saying that it was like a lonely place to be, not having a lot of mom friends, or just that you're by yourself a lot with your kids, they're taking naps, things like that. Yeah. And I do think that this culture and also this day and age we're living in is different than how people were. Not only in community more, but that you would see in biblical times. Women in the marketplace, washing their clothes together, cooking together. Right. The enemy wants us in isolation. Yes. So sometimes it's even created brokenness. We're not trying to. I mean, having a baby is a beautiful thing. but being lonely isn't.
Right.
So we have to fight against those feelings of brokenness too. Wendy already mentioned Hannah. I was going to talk about God being near in your brokenness, but also just the uniqueness of this verse. I almost can't get over it. It's Isaiah 38:16 says, "O Lord, by these things men live, and in these things is the life of my spirit. So you will restore me and make me live." So for us to stand on the fact that if we know a living God that we believe is holy, he will restore us. Maybe it won't be to exactly where we were. Maybe we're growing in our faith through the situation.
Yeah.
But can you trust a God who can restore broken situations? Well, we talk about this, and in the next 2 shows, listen to these shows, send it to other people, know that that's what we are trying to do is help you and equip you while you're going through what you're going through. Because guess what? If you're not now,
Right.
you will be.
It's coming.
Indeed, are you ready for this? Indeed, it was for my own peace that I had great bitterness, but you have lovingly delivered my soul from the pit of corruption.
Wow. Yeah.
So if you have been someone, or if you've known someone that has created their brokenness, tell them that they could trust in a God that can deliver them, that can give them a peace despite what they have gone through, despite those decisions that they have made, and that can deliver them from corruption.
Yeah.
You don't want to live a corrupt life here on earth, because guess what? You might go out your door, see someone that cuts you off on the freeway or that has road rage, and that is corruption here on earth. That is not the peace that God has designed us to live in.
Right.
You have lovingly delivered me, for you have cast all my sins behind your back. Guess what? When the things we have done and the things that we have lived in, whether we have caused our own brokenness or someone has done it to us, but we present it to God and it's behind his back,
Yeah.
what happens when something's behind your back? You can't see it. And you're not trying to see it.
You're not focused on it either.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I really loved that. But I also wanted to point out, how do we know, and especially if you're someone that hasn't quite fully surrendered your life to Jesus, that God is a holy God? How do we know? Well, I challenge you, if you have time to read all of it. This is a book that I've been studying lately for like the 5th time, but this time, I don't know, it's like in a whole new way. But Revelation, and I have like a Bible study book that's going with it. But when John was given the vision for Revelation, and then it says in the beginning, it was read out loud. So the audience then that it was read to was, they understood it. So it's not supposed to be so confusing, but if you read this part of Revelation, I think, oh my goodness, like we were created, and we were created by a God who is a creator. But this part in Revelation 5 says, it talks about him taking the scroll and the living creatures, which are amazing to even read about anyways, that there's prayers of the saints, and then they sang a new song, saying, you are worthy to take the scroll and open its seals, and talking about Jesus. You have redeemed us to God by your blood. Out of every tribe and tongue, the people and nation, you have made us kings and priests to our God, and we shall reign on the earth. So to think of even those of us that are going to endure through these trials on earth, God is going to think of us as being part of priests in a kingdom. He already thinks of us like that. We're his sons and daughters. Then I looked, and I heard the voice of many angels around the throne, the living creatures and the elders, and the number of them was 10,000 times 10,000, and thousands of thousands, saying with a loud voice, worthy is the Lamb who was slain to receive power, riches, and wisdom, strength and honor, glory and blessing. And every creature which is in heaven and on earth and under the earth, and such are in the sea, and all that are in them, I heard them saying, blessing and honor, glory and power be to him who sits on the throne and the Lamb forever and ever. Like, that is the God that we serve. A God that wants to make us righteous before him through Jesus Christ. And so through him and through Jesus' blood, we can trust a God that is holy, despite these things that are going to go on around us.
Amen. We have also promises just that he hears what we pray. Psalm 34, 4 through 7. I sought the Lord and he answered me. He delivered me from all my fears. Those who look to him are radiant. Their faces are never covered with shame. This poor man called and the Lord heard him. He saved him out of all his troubles. The angel of the Lord encamps around those who fear him and he delivers them. And honestly, I had a moment this weekend. I haven't told many people about it, but I was having a hard time. The enemy was telling me some lies, telling me you're not enough, you're not doing enough, you're not sharing the gospel enough, you're not doing enough. And in that moment, I prayed, Lord, what do I need to focus on right now? Because he is so loud. The enemy is just so loud. And God gave me a verse out of Romans 8. It says, if it is encouraging, let him encourage. And God showed me that I am doing enough. Because every time a friend calls, almost no matter who it is, I will pick up and I will be there to listen, to pray with them, to encourage them, and to be whoever they need at that moment. Like yes. I'm ready. They send me a text, pray for this, I'm praying on it.
Yeah.
I don't leave it at I will pray for you anymore, because it doesn't do anybody any good. Yeah. We need to be praying now. And I did that over myself, and it was God speaking to me in the moment.
Yes.
The angel of the Lord encamps around those who fear him. Like, God was closer than a prayer. My husband we were driving in the car. My husband didn't even hear the prayer, but God heard it.
Yeah.
And he spoke to me in that moment. He said, I have put you there to be an encouragement, to encourage the other believers around you.
Yeah.
That's what you are supposed to do, and you are doing it. And I needed yes. that. And I was having a broken moment. I brought it to the Lord, and he took it right then.
Yeah.
So we need to know that he is ready and he is willing.
Yeah.
If we just will give it up.
Yeah.
Like I've struggled this on a daily basis. I struggle. Like, the thoughts just keep running, and I just feel the brokenness, and I can sit in the brokenness, and I can cry my eyes out.
All of us can.
But the times when I have brought it to him, my day has completely changed.
Yeah.
I can't tell you any more than that, because it's always different.
Yeah.
So there's something that's always different. But we need to have that idea that the angel of the Lord encamps around those who fear him, and he delivers them. He will deliver you.
I love, love, love that. So many stories, I'm not going to share them, but look up the story of Elijah and Hagar. Maybe I'll have time to go over Elijah on one of the other shows, because there's 2 more points that I want us to get to. Yeah. But both beautiful stories of how in the midst of their brokenness, God did cover them, just like what Wendy talked about. Can broken be holy? Yes. We have stated that, and I think we are going to keep reiterating that within the next 2 shows within this series, that I just think is so important. There has to be someone, when you listen to the show, that would need to hear these words that we're speaking, these verses, God's word, his truth that is coming to life as we are presenting it to you. Please send it to them. Think of someone as you are listening to this that you can send it to encourage them today. But stay close to God. Have it be that when you are in the midst of your brokenness, there was a marriage video that Matt and I watched over the last couple of years. The enemy has really wanted to bring us down. He hates us. The enemy hates marriage, because God instituted it. It was God's plan. Look around. Anything that you see being attacked and being pulled apart, and where there's chaos and confusion, these are things that God created for good, that the enemy wants to rip apart and have a delusion of this certain thing, have a seduction, have us going towards these ways that don't lead towards God. Be aware of those things, and then you are not going to be purposely going down a path of brokenness. Right. But yeah, stay close to God, like Wendy said. Stay in his word. Put on worship music. Call a friend. Tell someone that you need prayer. But I also say, yes, broken can be holy if we allow others in our story. In the midst of, oh, so cute. So my oldest, Sebastian, sent me a message by a pastor, and it was short. It was by Judah Smith, old message actually, but there was a part where he was talking about Peter, and when he walked on the water and he fell, and he said, why doesn't anyone talk about that? When Peter got back in the boat, he was soaking wet. And he said they all started worshiping Jesus when Jesus got to the boat. And he says, but there wasn't anything about, my gosh, Peter, how annoying that you got in there. Let me get you a shirt. He said, nothing like that. Yeah. He said, Peter just started worshiping with the rest of them. He said, or at least that's what I'm guessing, because it didn't say anything about him being wet. Yeah. And he said, do we worship when we're soaked? Yeah. And so I've sent that to my son a couple of times this week. And I said, are you having a rough day? Remember to worship when you're soaking. And it gives me the chills to think about it, because that's my 20-year-old that sent it to me. Yeah. And it's been an encouragement with me since. But these are the type of kids Wendy and I are hoping to raise, that our kids could send us things like that. Right. We are not meant to live, grieve, and be in isolation. We're not meant to. The enemy wants us to stay like that, but that's not how we're meant to live. And we will stay broken and stay in that broken place when we accept that mentality. So amazing how God works. But I found a notebook from 2015. Wow. And so my husband had open heart surgery. It was a crazy time. He was 38 years old. They found an aneurysm on his heart. They said he had 4 days to have that open heart surgery, or else he wasn't going to make it. We were home for a week. He had fluid built up around his heart. And then they said if I didn't get him back in the hospital to drain that fluid, that he would have died. And we were there for another week and a half. So anyways, we come home and I have a 5th grader, a 3rd grader, and a little guy. My gosh, why can't I think how old Silas would have been? 5. So little kids, lots of medication, physical therapy. Matt can't do anything, respiratory therapy. A time period that was just a lot in general, doing everything the kids needed to do, other things besides that. And then in the midst of that, 3 weeks later, Matt's brother had open heart surgery. And my sister-in-law worked full-time and had 5 kids. So I was just in my own nature, because I am helping them also. But I wrote this because I do remember there being some times where Matt was very grumpy. They told him, we don't know if you'll go back to work. We don't know if you'll walk again. We don't know if you'll breathe normally. All of those things were in my mind like, oh, okay. So sometimes he didn't appreciate things I did. Sometimes I would just have to be quiet. He would get upset because Matt is a good leader, and he is. Well, I was the leader during that time because he couldn't do anything. So I wrote this and thought it was so prevalent and very just telling for the state that I was in, but also where I was bringing my burdens. So I just thought before we end, I was going to read this, and then if Wendy has our closing words. I just said, what do you do with a place that is both broken and grateful? How do you mend the broken fragments of your heart when it is so hard to identify why each part is even shattered? God can make all things new. That is the ultimate hope I will cling to. I will not let the enemy continue to tell me that I could be robbed of my joy, my marriage, my faith, or my walk. When there is so much to do, who has time to stop and ask God to get all the yuck out and replace it with a holy love, a holy covering, and a holy protection from darkness? I am forever grateful that God saved Matt. I know he has great plans for him. I know people look at our walk and faith and will hopefully have their faith strengthened too. But the enemy is good at what he does. Resentment, bitterness, anger, entitlement, and assumptions have crept in. He has convinced us that we don't know how to be in love. There is a way to speak to each other in a marriage and in a family. And now that Matt has been saved 4 months, it seems sometimes we have forgot the gift of breathing, forgot the gift of having one another minute, forgot the gift of getting to take care of someone's heart physically and emotionally and become one flesh and grow better because of it. Why does bitter seem better in the moment? How does a sentence that is stale multiply to a month and minutes and moments that cut deep? Forgiveness comes, but still, there is so much broken. Asking God to heal, to change me, to show me how to be all he created me to be. Letting go of all of that control, giving all of that control to him who tilts the universe with his fingertip. So I wrote more than that, but I just thought, wow, it was so prevalent to what we were talking about. And in the state that I was in with my heart, not knowing how things were going to end up, trusting and having faith in the midst of all of it, but also like Hannah, just bringing it to God.
Yeah.
I didn't want to go to the bar. I didn't want to scream every day. I didn't want to complain to other people. I just wanted God to like help me fix it. But really, like, I had to trust that it was going to be His timing, that all of the things would work together exactly the way He would want it to.
Amen. Well, Ann Voskamp, in her book, The Broken Way, talks about John 12:24, where Jesus says, I tell you the truth, unless a kernel of wheat falls to the ground and dies, it remains only a single seed. But if it dies, it produces many seeds. And she tells a little story about her daughter coming to her with this little paper heart that she had made, and it had torn. And she was like, Mom, can you fix it? And she did the best she could and pasted it on her shirt the best she could. But her daughter said something so profound. She said, maybe the love can only get in where it's broken. The crack makes it so that the love can get in.
Yeah.
And I think so the junk can get out.
Yeah.
Too.
Right. It's hard to accept.
It works both ways.
It's hard to accept. Yeah.
So if we, as a grain of wheat, fall to the ground and we die to ourselves, we die to our circumstances, we die to our emotions.
Yeah.
Because they're just emotions. And sometimes they tell us the truth, sometimes they don't.
Yeah.
We need to die to those things and remember our Creator in those moments and remember what He can work through us and what that broken can do. Like, if we don't let others in, I've noticed, if we don't let others in, if we don't tell somebody else that something's going on, nobody else knows that it's going on.
No. Right.
And so nobody knows that you need a meal. Nobody knows that you need a prayer. Nobody knows that you need somebody to watch your kids for an hour so you can just go and cry or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, if we don't let others in our brokenness, they can't see, they're not going to see the opposite, when the victory either. They're not going to recognize that, oh, she had such victory in that, because nobody was brought into it.
Yeah.
So God's purpose in brokenness is to bring others in, and to bring us in community with each other.
Yes.
So that the brokenness is shared. You ever heard the statement that a burden halved? I'm sorry, I'm saying this wrong. Heard the statement that a burden shared is a burden halved.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So anytime you share it with somebody else, it gets cut in half again and cut in half again.
Yes.
The pressure is off of you.
Yes.
When you share your brokenness. And even if you're giving out of your brokenness, like, I don't feel like making a meal for somebody. However, it's a mindset that changes in you when you're doing something for somebody else in your junk.
Well, and sometimes it's not just you.
No,
and
it's not about you.
What Wendy said is so important about community, because that's how God created us. And that's why the mundane things that we've talked about in previous shows are not just mundane. They're holy. They're prevalent things. Wendy and I were at the same church. Now we're back at a church we were at for a while, and my daughter's serving there. And so we're being together as a family, but I thought, we're here, I'm going to serve again. So I'm doing a 5th grade class twice a month. Well, the young girl that I serve with, her mom has cancer. She shared that. We're all praying. We've done meals now the last couple weeks. Well, it happens to be this girl goes to my son's school, and she's young, but man, her faith that she's serving at church in the same age as my son, and he was blown away. So the things that we may be going through are not always for us. Because mind you, my son has grown up a Christian, but he was just blown away by this girl's faith. And so I said, go up to her and just say, like, I've been praying for you. Know like that will be a blessed thing to do. It might not seem like a big deal, but it is. But guess what? It's because she let other people in her story.
Right.
And so I just think like we might not realize because we're hurting.
Yeah.
But when we let other people in, it's huge.
Yes.
And doing the things that just seem like, oh, this is, if we know that they're spiritual disciplines that we should do, but it's not just that. It's the fact that we're serving, we're letting other people in, we're seeing them, we're looking them in the eye. You're going to church, you're there every week, are you seeing the same people? Okay, ask them how their week was. Oh, ask them if their leg's healed. Oh, see if there's anything you can pray about. Those are the type of things that God created us to do in community. But in America, we could go to churches and not see the same people. So you're not quite doing it the way God designed you to if that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
Get involved. So we wonder as we end, does brokenness move you? What does that mean? Move you. And I say that out of the fact that we have been so desensitized to the violence in our culture, from video games to movies to the news to social media to so many things, that even as someone that might say they're a Christian, I just heard last night at a ladies' Bible study, I have that, I guess it's a term, cussing Christians. We could probably do a show on that. That's normal. People have normalized the fact that, like, why is it a big deal if I want to cuss? Well, because maybe it offends God. And we'll do a show on this maybe later. But what I'm saying is, you shouldn't be desensitized to things that are going on around you, in you. Don't not deal with it, and in people's lives around you. So brokenness should move you. And I'll tell you, and we'll end on the ways that it should move you. It should move you to reach out if you need help. It should move you to pray. It should move you to go low in love towards other people.
And serve.
Yes, it should move you to grow in faithfulness, to realize like, man, like this would have really bothered me 5 years ago, and I was able to pray with someone, be in my word, pray about it, and I wasn't so stuck in that place. It should move you to grow. Brokenness should move you to serve. And I say that in a way that, yeah, that might be normal for me or Wendy, but think of what it could be for you. There's a place that I volunteer, the Life Center in Asperia. We see brokenness. Some of it is broken places that some of these women are in, but guess what? God is there. We're able to pray with them, help them, give them items, give them diapers, show them resources to help them get on their feet. So you better believe that a place like that, where people are coming in from possibly a broken place, that God is moving and holy in that place.
Yes.
So how does brokenness move you? And how could it move you towards a holy God?
Cool. Well, this is our part of our series. There should be 2 more episodes coming soon. And you don't want to miss them because our world is broken, and to be able to have some vocabulary about it and to speak well about it, see what God's word says, is important and helps us keep our focus.
Yeah.
So
this will be in your toolbox right now.
Definitely.
right.
I'm Wendy. This is Laura, and we are signing off.
Thank
Mama
you.
Bears on Purpose. We'll see
Bye.
you next time.